Is there anybody who's itching to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, sounds like Jesse's ready. Let's see if we got anybody in the chat that's got one of their D's ownership and general manager. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know if that rolls off with D's, but it worked out. D's O-line. I guess I would say D's O-line men. But yeah, okay, y'all getting the hang of it. D's lineman is D problem. Who's sticking their nuts in an ice chest? No, but I think he's just saying
my
you can
boy,
sit on top.
no. My boy, this MMA fighter. What's his name? The one that said, remember he takes his pants off after he wins?
I don't know.
The black dude, the heavyweight dude. He's like, man, my nuts are hot.
I don't
You
know.
remember that guy?
Daniel Cormier. I have
That's
no idea.
no, it's not. The
John
other black
Jones.
guy. The other black guy.
Rampage Jackson.
The other black guy.
Who you got for the D's thing?
All right, for me, I'm going D's Mikes.
These mics.
These Mikes.
Okay.
And I got the one arrow for Illinois and his other one's from Pittsburgh. Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer. These Mikes have been balls.
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
See, I say butt or ass, and you go with balls.
These Mikes have been balls. I said this all week long.
Footballs.
Balls. Sweaty balls, stinky balls,
When we're on
dirty
TV,
balls.
you're not going to be able to say this stuff.
That's why I'm getting it out now.
Okay.
Let me get it out my system now.
All right. It's a Magic Marker Monday.
These Mikes have been balls.
God, you keep saying it.
Balls. Right up under the nuts.
Raggedy.
Raggedy balls. Dusty balls.
Stinky. Musty.
Stank balls.
Musty.
Do we have a sponsor?
Foul balls.
Musty.
Musty.
Musty balls.
No.
They need to be kicked in the balls.
Go into the description of what you're talking about instead of
So,
keep
here we
saying
go.
balls.
Mike, I'll start with Mike from Pittsburgh. Michael from Pittsburgh, your offensive coordinator. I asked all week long, I said, if the Cowboys are going to win this game, that Michael from Pittsburgh is going to have to get in his bag.
In the duffel.
The duffel, the Louis, the Gucci, the Fendi, the Prada, the Goyard, the Jan Sport. Give me a bag to get into.
The Birkin.
The Birkin.
He said,
Okay.
Well,
The
that's what
yeah.
Shabuzi's baby wants.
Yeah.
Is a Birkin.
The Birkin, the Chanel, the Celine, all of those things. He gave us a trash bag.
Okay.
Another game where you had an opportunity to, you had a week. You had a freaking week.
how about that third
Yeah,
and five
Martin.
a fullback run?
You had a
On your first drive.
On your
off the
first
bye.
drive, third and five fullback run.
Can I say something?
That
Let me-
was crazy.
No, get it out.
Let me get this out. You had a week, Michael from Pittsburgh, to get into your bag.
Oh my God.
You could have watched football, and I keep telling you, Mike, steal. And I'm not talking about Terrence. I'm talking about stealing plays from other folks that who do this thing better than you. It is okay. But you decided not to. You decided that you were going to go back to what you thought was best, and it is balls. Talk about these nuts. Talk about how bad Michael from Pittsburgh has been calling plays.
How about the other
And
one?
then we go to the other ball, okay? The other nut.
I think you meant the other Mike.
The other Mike, excuse
You
me,
just keep saying balls.
from Illinois.
You got a lot of balls.
Mike Zimmer. I'm out, brother. You were supposed to come and you were supposed to do something with this defense, give it some remnants of an identity, of strength, of fight, of something. And all these guys have done will go out there and poo-poo themselves.
Poo-poo.
And you thought in your wildest dreams that in this game plan, it would be a good idea to take arguably the second best tight end in all of football and line him up on multiple occasions, one-on-one, with your absolute worst cover defender in the secondary
Preach on,
for
preach
a
on.
large majority of the game.
Say
Remember when
that.
Kendricks guarded Debo?
And got whooped.
Say that, preacher.
And got whooped.
Sure enough.
These mics, one from Illinois and one from Pittsburgh, talk about these nuts. Y'all bad. Balls.
Aisha, what were you going to say?
Preach on, preach on.
I was gonna say.
Chest.
I was gonna say that. Man, that was a lot, Jesse. I don't know if I have anything to input anymore. I do think that Mike Zimmer.
It's called a nut drop. Nut drop.
I didn't like some of his decisions. However, I did like the beginning of the game of them coming out and at least trying to try some different things. But to your point, it was bad. And they didn't even just have 2 weeks to prepare for the San Francisco 49ers.
You've had 3 years.
Quite honest.
Every year.
because to your point, quite honestly, like their scheme is almost almost exactly the same. And they have lesser talent out there right now because they have guys missing.
And the thing is that you know coming into this game, and I'm sorry I'm eating up a lot of this time. I'm sorry. But you knew, Michael from Illinois, coming into this game that there wasn't going to be no Christian McCaffrey.
I don't get paid
You
per
knew
word.
coming into this game that there was not going to be any Brandon Ayuk. You knew coming into this game that there was not going to be a Juwan Jennings.
Debo went out too.
And Debo went out in this game, but
breathe.
you knew even if you knew Debo wasn't 100%. He just coming off pneumonia, had fluid on his lungs.
But he could play, unlike Rico.
Yeah, he was George
You
Floyd mode.
knew
Couldn't
You just
breathe.
wanna make
the
a scene.
one person that could have wrecked the game for you, because God darn it, he's been doing it for the last couple of years with the Cowboys. 3 touchdowns last year. 3 touchdowns last year. I know y'all popped that film in and watched it during the week, and you still let the one dude who you could not let get off go ham on National Tight End Day.
National Tight End Day, yeah.
It's literally a National Tight End Day, and you let the tight end,
And
the one playmaker that they truly had on offense, you let him get loose. I, for the life of me, will never understand.
I would say this, that Mike McCarthy claimed they had a plan for the tight end.
Yeah, let him catch the ball.
They had a plan.
That was the plan.
They had a plan.
what was
They
it?
had. I don't know what the
They
plan
couldn't-
was,
the
but
thing is-
they had a plan.
The
thing is,
plan-
You couldn't block.
They couldn't have had a plan. The reason they couldn't have had a plan is because what their plan was very, very clear. Their plan was we're going to try really, really hard, even harder than we normally do. And we load the box a lot. We're going to overload that box to try to stop them from running. When you do that, it means you're playing heavier personnel, which means that you're going to cover George Kittle with a safety or a linebacker. You're not going to cover him with a corner because you don't have that many corners on the field because you're trying to stop the run.
But you gave
if
They
you're
claimed they had. All I'm saying is they claimed they had a plan.
But if you
Concept.
I didn't like the plan in the first place because if you were gonna have a safety cover him, why that safety?
That's what I'm saying.
Like you do have a Marquise Bell. You could have had a Wanye Thomas. Like you could
Yeah.
at
You could
least.
have went with a.
There were guys that
You
there
could
were
have
guys
said, you
that
know
are
what,
better in
Ayo,
coverage.
I'm going to kick you inside. You're going to have to guard. Trayvon, you're going to have to guard George Kittle. Like
Somebody.
somebody.
But he always has a big game against the Cowboys. So
Yeah, because
Okay,
you line
we
him
got
up against
yours.
guys who can't guard him.
these mics.
These
These
mics.
These mics.
These
All right,
mics is a
what you
good
got,
one.
Clarence?
You guys keep your D's coming in the chat. What's the biggest problem with the Cowboys? D's what? And please hit the like button while you're there. I'm embarrassed by how many we don't have. Hit it or else.
These mics.
These.
See, that was threatening. I seen your
I'll
little
go
lip go
next.
up.
I won't be as long.
You can.
I won't be as long.
Oh, we got another segment. We
I know.
can stretch it.
You can't be as long by nature either.
I'm not gonna do this with you.
And Jesse,
I'm not gonna do this with you.
When
Y'all.
you apologize.
Just because you taller than me, you longer.
When you,
Anyway,
when you
I'm not gonna
apologize
do this with you.
for how long you were going.
I'm not gonna do this with you.
I don't get paid per word.
Say
as many as you
it.
want.
Say yours.
Right.
What is it? What
I'm
is
not
it?
gonna do this with
Yeah,
you.
you're true.
My check don't change.
Yeah.
These offensive and defensive linemen. Mike McCarthy talked about it last night, and you're right. He had no plan, but Mike feels he's handcuffed because they can't block nobody.
Okay.
And that's on Jerry Jones and the plan they made in the offseason to go with 2 rookies up front.
No, you don't. You don't get to blame Jerry Jones.
I'm just saying.
You're
I'm-
blaming the offensive and the
offensive-
defensive
the
line.
offensive line, they're not blocking anybody. They have no chance in the running game. They have no chance in the passing game. It's fun to watch Brock Purdy sit back there and pick out receiver and wait for a guy to cross in wide open. Dak doesn't have that liberty because of the offensive line. The running game, there's no wide open holes. They're not special backs, but there's nothing there. Dalvin Cook found out with Zeke and Rico have known all season. Ain't nowhere to run. Okay,
Dalvin's gonna be like,
there's
hey,
no holes.
That was gonna be like, hey, bro, just leave me on the practice squad.
You know,
I ain't going back out there
There's
for that
no
one,
holes. It's
brother.
funny because I asked the guy, a coach, after the game last night, walking to the bus. I said, "Does Dalvin really look good in practice?" Yes, he looks good in practice. You know why? Why does he look good in practice?
Because you don't tackle
Because
him,
you're going up against the 119th out of the 119th defensive tackle.
Exactly. You're going against the Cowboys defense. And that gets back to the defensive
Oh,
line. The
damn.
Cowboys defensive line.
Oh, damn.
Cowboys defensive line. I've talked about the tackle. I said last
Nuts.
week that Mozzie Smith was my guy who needed to show up.
Yeah.
He's the worst graded defensive tackle in football.
Balls.
And did he show up last night? Did y'all?
No, he got dominated. No, I think in the first half, the Cowboys had a little bit of a chance to defend the run because they were going sideways, and you had a chance for Overshown or Leafau or Golston to make an impact. The second half, they ran it right.
No, they did right down the throat. And it's funny because I remember a couple weeks ago, I noticed it when I talked about Mozzie being in the locker room and smiling and happy, after a loss.
Yeah, but he had a good game.
Because he had a good game. I don't want to be a guy to let the team down. If I feel 25. Good, I'm holding up my end of the bargain. Well, he's no longer holding up his end of the bargain. D's offensive and defensive lineman.
Fair. D's play calls from Marlon in the chat. We appreciate it. D's QB plays timid in big games. We got some D's.
Brandon J had a good one that I missed. Go up a little bit. I forgot a mic.
Solari?
Mike Solari.
Don't worry, they're all getting fired together.
I forgot a mic.
They'll all be gone.
There it is right there.
Yeah, it's going to be Bill Belichick.
I didn't even bring up the Mike Solari. You're right, Brandon
Where's
J.
he from? We got to find out where he's from.
Yeah, let's find out.
Hell.
He's probably.
I was just saying words. I was just being reckless.
God.
Aisha, what's your D's?
These penalties. Because I'm sick of them. The Cowboys had 6 penalties for 30 yards, which it just felt like
that's not bad. But they're all on kick return, which is weird.
It is within the game, and that's the part of it. That's the point of it. Is it's the situations in which you're getting these penalties, how they take away big plays, how they take away momentum, and then they have 53 penalties on the season so far. When coming into the game, they were 21st in the league. I wouldn't be surprised if they're higher at this point. The penalties have, quite honestly, taken away from so many elements of the game. I mean, the first play of the game, that's your tone setter.
Yeah.
Tell me something. How do you do a reverse on the kickoff return?
They've been doing it.
No. And throw it forward. He got a penalty on that play.
He got a penalty on the play, yeah.
Probably because the guy who's literally on this roster to be a special teams ace was running straight at him instead of in a loop around
exactly.
him. And they had been setting that up all year.
Why is he on the...
They've been setting it up all year. Every kick return they've done, Goodwin runs that way behind him. They've been setting that play up all year to pitch it forward.
Do you really think Goodwin is going to make any plays on special teams? Do you really think when they
he's a special teams ace? He's an ace.
As a tackler, allegedly.
Ace.
Why is he on this roster?
No, I was upset at the special teams output yesterday.
Just saying.
I came into this game believing that the Cowboys had a advantage there because San Fran special teams is not that great every year. But they weren't able to take advantage of any of that, and it just was chaotic. So the penalties, they're exhausting, they're tiring. I'm tired of them.
I would like to sneak mine in. My biggest issue with the Cowboys at this point, D's what? It is
well, here he go.
D's Joneses is what I would go with.
All of them.
Because I do think, to your point, these mics, that's tough. Who hired them?
These Joneses.
Okay. And you don't like D's offensive line or defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Whose job is it to get those guys?
These Joneses.
Joneses?
Yeah.
Okay, so D's Joneses.
Who paid that?
D's Joneses. Well, they were supposed to pay Dak.
I'm just saying.
I don't want to get in. I don't want to fight about Dak today. Dak didn't play well enough. He can't afford to play not well enough if he needs to be better. But yes, D's Joneses. They told us. Jerry told you this was coming. But we ignored and didn't pay enough attention to the one time that he did tell us what was happening. He told you that you weren't going to have good players this year.
He told us he was all in.
He told us
he was all in, too.
He told you that Dak was going to have to do more with less.
He did say that.
Because D's Jones's favorite thing to do is not to surround their talent with talent. Their favorite thing to do is when they actually have to write big checks, which they don't do often. That's why they avoid free agency, because they're cheap. Because that requires writing checks, not just filling salary cap space. Once they've had to spend money on those players, then their next step is the setup. And this setup is for y'all to hate Dak, to hate CeeDee, to hate Diggs,
Michael?
to hate Micah. That's the setup. Is they'll just say over and over and people will buy it. And I've noticed in the world recently that people just say stuff and it doesn't matter if it's true or not. They'll just say stuff because they know that people who like them will just go, absolutely, that's accurate. And so they have set you up to believe that they can't make the team better because of Dak and CeeDee. They're lying. These Joneses are the biggest problem that this team has.
We all silly like the mayor.